I'm building a business and documenting the entire process. This is week 4 of building the autonomous leader. This week, an AI tool replaced weeks of work my client and I had been building. My team planned their own work and produced content without me. And the hardest thing I did all week was sit in a chair and write for 5 hours straight. And that is the part that nobody tells you about when building a business. And I have built 3 businesses to the point where I could step out of the day-to-day and lead instead of operate. And planning has always made that possible every single time. It is so important that we plan, and the GPS is the most useful framework that I have found to streamline the planning across the company. This week, my team used the GPS to plan their own work, and what changed was immediate. Nobody asked me what to do next. No questions on what should I be working on now. They had the plan, they had made their own directions, they made their own marching orders, and they followed them. And the best of all is that they could see how their work connected everything to the bigger picture. That is what empowers your team to be a different kind of team. Not one that just receives tasks and does stuff, but one that actually owns outcomes. If you have a team right now, even if it's 2 or 3 people, just sit down with them for 90 minutes and have each person write down 1 goal and 3 outcomes they own for the next month. Don't assign it. Have them build it, and you will see the difference in how they show up the next week. We ran the planning session inside of the project management software that I had built using AI, and it was our first real-time use, and we discovered a few bugs right away, but we logged all of them. We wrote every issue down that we had with the software and every preference of things that we wanted to see, and after the meeting, 2 hours later, everything was fixed by AI. No developer, no tickets, no 2-week sprint or any of that. Just a conversation with AI, and everything was fixed by noon that day. Later in the week, we did something I think every small team should do very early. A team training session. Not me training them, but all of us training each other. I taught a few core principles in sound design, and one editor trained us on captions, and the other editor trained on graphic element creation for faster editing. When the knowledge flows between team members instead of just flowing from me to them, the team can grow stronger without depending more on me, the owner. And by the end of the week, we sat down together for a quality control review. We went through the produced content as a team, we analyzed it, and established rules for everything going forward. They were not waiting for me to tell them what was good and what was not. We figured it out together. Between the planning, the cross-training, and the quality standards, something shifted this week. I stopped feeling like I was managing a team and started feeling like the team was managing itself. But here is what nobody tells you about building systems that work. The better they run, the faster everything around them changes. The same week my team started running on their own, a coaching client and I watched weeks of work get replaced overnight. We had been building a lead generation system for his business, weeks of work, and we had mapped out the logic, built the framework, and we're getting close to implementation of it. But then an AI tool came out that did the entire thing on autopilot. Not just part of it, but all of it. And most business owners would have kept building anyway, right? I totally get it. They spent the time, they did the work, and abandoning it would feel like admitting that the effort was wasted. But it wasn't wasted. The work we had done is exactly what allowed us to recognize so quickly that the tool solved the problem. We knew what we needed because we had spent weeks figuring it out. Without that work, we would have not recognized the solution the moment that it appeared. So we killed the project. Weeks of work, gone in the conversation. And we redirected every hour we had spent building that system towards social media lead generation and collaboration, which was a problem that had been waiting for some attention for quite some time. But now that the other problem doesn't exist anymore, we can finally put some attention on the social media lead generation and collaboration. If you're building something right now and a tool shows up that does it better, the work you already did is not wasted. It is the reason you can recognize the better thing when it appears. But you have to be willing to let it go. And most of us are not. Next time you catch yourself pushing through a build because you've already spent so many hours on it, just stop and ask yourself one question. If I were starting this today, would I still build it this way? And if the answer is no, the sunk cost is just lying to you. Now here's what I did not see coming. The team was running their own plans, AI handled all the mechanical work, and the systems held. And what was left was the kind of work that none of those things could do for me. And it turned out to be the hardest part of my entire week. 2 conversations happened this week that made something very clear about what the owner's actual job becomes once the machine is actually running. And I had the privilege of spending time with a leader that I deeply admire. He has led thousands of people with the kind of heart that makes everyone around him just better. He has not built the same kind of business that I'm building, but what he has built is something harder to measure. Hundreds, if not thousands of families influenced. A community that is just better because of how he leads. And that does not show up in revenue reports, right? It shows up in how people talk about him when he's not in the room. He is deeply admired in the community. I asked him about some concepts that I've been working through, and he gave me something I could have not gotten on my own. Perspective. Perspective that comes from experience I have not yet lived. No course replaces that. No book replaces that. The people you choose to learn from shape the quality of what you build. Here's another conversation I had this week. A client called me facing a significant financial decision that will impact the next few years of how his business is going to run. So we spent 2 hours exploring the situation, and then I just asked questions for about 30 minutes until we had clarity. I did not tell him what to do. He told himself. Sometimes that's all that coaching is. The right questions in the right order until the person sitting across from you clearly sees what the next step is. But the hardest thing this week for me was to sit down and spend 5 hours outlining the content system course that I'm building. And I did that module after module. 5 hours of focused effort on the one thing that drains me most. With this course I'm building, I only have one goal. If a business owner implements it, it will transform how they produce content. If they actually implement it, I want that the only part where they touch content is getting filmed. The editing, the publishing, the optimization, the distribution, all is handled by a system and a team. And that is the standard I'm writing this towards. And that standard makes it really hard. Every module has to be structured so that a content leads into the next one without leaving any knowledge gaps. And what makes a content system work is not only the single pieces of the system, it is how the pieces influence each other and come together. And that really required a lot of around the corner thinking, and then formulating all of those words and make that something that other people can consume and follow my train of thought around that corner as well. I think all of us have that one thing in our professional life that takes more energy than everything else. For me, it's that structured writing. I could talk about this material like face to face all day long, every day. But formulating my ideas to be precise and structured in a way that communicates in a short amount of time takes just a completely different kind of mental effort from me. And Mark Manson said that even your dream job will have 20% of suck in it. Writing about structure is my 20%. And I think that it's because I care too much about it being good to cut any corners. And that is what I meant at the beginning. The team ran without me. AI replaced weeks of work overnight, and the hardest part of my week was 5 hours alone writing something that has to be good enough to actually change how a business owner operates. These systems we're building in our businesses, they free us so we can do the hard work. So we can sit down for 5 hours straight and work on the things that are hard for us. But they also free us so we can have time to learn from people who have lived what we might not have yet lived, and we get to learn and be mentored. These systems we're building as business owners inside of our own companies is what allows us to step out and make the things that are priority truly our priority. If you're building a business right now, the systems matter. Build them. The team matters. Develop each one of the team members. But at some point, the machine starts running, and you're left with the question, what is the work that only I can do? That work is usually the hardest kind of work. It's the 20% that drains you the most. And it's the 20% that matters the most. Do not avoid it. Lean into it. That is the job of a business owner. Too many small business owners are the bottleneck in their own company. And the problem is not the business, it is that the owner became the one thing the business cannot run without. The autonomous leader provides the systems to change exactly that, so the owner can lead the company instead of being consumed by it. Next week, I start filming the course modules that I wrote this week. But filming is not the real test. The real test is whether a business owner can take what I wrote and actually change how their content gets produced. That is not something I find out behind the camera. That is something I find out when it's in someone else's hands. And if that does not work, I will rewrite the entire thing and do it all over again until it works. If you want to know your company's current constraint, take the self-assessment in the description and find out what your superpower is and what your current constraint is. And of course, what the next steps are based on your unique situation. If you're a service-based business owner and any of what I just described sounds familiar, subscribe and follow along to see me build the autonomous leader. My passion is helping business owners towards greater autonomy in their own company so that they can give their time to their greatest priorities in life. My goal is to impact 1 million business owners, and I cannot wait to see what the next week brings. Subscribe.